Welcome, everybody. My name's Gabe. I'm with Maxable, and today we're going to walk you through a full ADU permit set, answering the question, what does it actually take to get an ADU permitted in the state of California? We are assisted by Adam Mayberry of Mayberry Workshop, an architect who we partner with frequently at Maxable. He does great work, and today we're going to walk through a permit set he did for Cecilia, a client of Maxable's who lives in Redwood City, California. Let's get started. Now, this project is near and dear to our heart. Not only was Cecilia a great Maxable customer and partnered with a great architect and then a wonderful general contractor through the Maxable network, but Cecilia is now a Maxable Pro, meaning she helps dozens and hundreds of homeowners get their project from idea to construction again and again in the state of California. This project in specifically was a 371 square foot garage, which Cecilia and team then had converted to a studio ADU. In adding the loft, they brought it from 371 square feet all the way to a grand total of 489 square feet. They did a beautiful job, and we're really proud to showcase this both in the permit set, but also in a full tour, which is linked to below. So the first section we're going to start with is the title sheet and project notes. We start with the title sheet or the cover sheet, and this is going to be sort of a summary of the ADU project. So let's dissect this page a little bit. Over here to the left, you'll see we have abbreviations. Obviously, with such an information-heavy set of documents, you want to abbreviate as much as possible. So this serves to define some of those abbreviations right up front. Then we have the project description and the project information, which gives the basic information about the project. Things like zoning, occupancy, square footage of the property, etc. Finally, we have general notes, which addresses the city's municipal code and general building notes. Now, I'll note that plans usually or often don't have renderings, but this is just something that Mayberry Workshop goes above and beyond on and likes to do. This just adds a bit of flair and personal touch, but it's not technically required to get your permits. What the city's really going to care about is these things like the elevations, Title 24, roof plan, all of which we're going to get to here in this video. Now, let's move on to the next page of project notes. I won't go too far into depth here, as this is going to be quite into the nitty-gritty, but this section will address some of the electrical notes, lighting, window placement, and more. We'll also have the general legend of the floor plan, which will define some of the markings we'll see in the floor plan drawings of the ADU. Next, let's talk about the section Title 24 and California Green Measures. So what is Title 24? Title 24 is the California code that sets energy efficiency standards for buildings in the state, and it's updated every 3 years. Just at a quick glance, it's a lot to keep track of. So just make sure your architect or designer is aware of the most recent Title 24 requirements. Title 24 applies to all new construction and renovations of buildings in California, obviously including ADUs. It sets standards for the building's envelope, or the outer shell of the building that separates the interior from the exterior. This includes standards for insulation, windows, and other features that help keep the building warm in the winter and cool in the summer. This also sets the standard for the building's lighting and appliances. This includes standards for the types of light fixtures and light bulbs to be used, as well as the energy efficiency of any appliances that will be installed in the building. So overall, the goal of Title 24 is to make buildings in California more energy efficient. For homeowners, this can mean lower energy cost. So it's really a win-win. Cal Green measures are very similar. Cal Green measures are part of California's Green Building Standards Code, or Cal Green, which is a set of guidelines that aims to reduce the environmental impact of buildings, and it applies to all new buildings, including ADUs. Now, how does this differ from Title 24? So to sum it up, Cal Green measures focuses on sustainability and environmental impact, while Title 24 focuses on energy efficiency. Both are important considerations when building an ADU in California. Now, moving to the next section, plans. It's the site, floor, demolition, etc. Now we're getting into the fun part. So we're going to start off with the site plan, which shows the entire property, including the main house. You might ask, I'm building an ADU, so why is the main house necessary? Well, the city's going to want to make sure your ADU is conforming to setbacks and other requirements. In this case, however, since in this particular case, we're dealing with a garage conversion, setbacks won't matter. For those of you that don't know, if you're converting an existing structure, a garage conversion often called, that, for example, only has a 2-foot setback off the edge of your property lines, or from the rear property lines in this case, you're still in the clear to build your ADU, even though if you were building from ground up, the state requires 4-foot side and rear setbacks. I want to zoom in on this ADU drawing for a little bit. Here, the architect is going to address their plans for the sewer lines, electrical clearance, easements, and other utility measures. This is going to get a lot more detailed further in the plan set, but this section is to give the city a general idea of how the builder is supposed to connect the utilities. Next, we're going to move on to the demolition plans, which are necessary if you intend on converting a structure. In this case, Cecilia's ADU had great bones already, but because they were planning on adding a loft and vaulted ceilings, the roof had to be taken apart and reconstructed. Just zooming in on some of these drawings, you'll see they have very specific instructions on how to deconstruct this roof. And here, you'll see exactly how these demolition plans played out. The roof is taken off, that garage door and front door got taken out. So finally, we get to the floor plans. They also included the ceiling plan and the roof plan, but I really want to focus on the floor plan here. I'm sure this is the part that everyone wants to see, because the floor plan is a really important way to visualize how you're going to use your space. So obviously, your architect or designer is going to include the measurements of the rooms and doorways, but notice that they include sketches of the furniture placement even. Now, again, this isn't required for permitting, but this helps the homeowner better visualize how everything's going to fit within the space. Another thing I want to note is that the main entrance is positioned facing outwards, away from the main house. Now, this may seem like a minor detail, but this actually plays a huge part in livability and in privacy. This was a really smart move by the architect, Adam Mayberry at Mayberry Workshop, because not only can they maintain privacy, but it also created this really cool pocket of outdoor space for this ADU in particular. So it's little tricks like these that can really take an ADU project from sort of bland to the next level. In case you guys haven't seen this fan favorite ADU in detail, we'll link to the full video tour of this ADU in the description. Next section in the permit set, elevations. So moving on to the elevations, this is going to show you all of the exterior angles of the ADU. This is most important to view the window and door positioning. Again, taking privacy into consideration, they added clear story windows to the walls that are facing towards backyards, the backyard of the main house, to maintain privacy, while still letting the natural light into the unit. They also added skylights. So this is a well-lit and a bright ADU. If you're going to build your ADU on a slope, so you're not just dealing with a flat backyard, the plans for that will also be addressed here in elevations. Here, we're showing interior elevations as well. So basically showing different angles of the rooms. In here, they're showing all 4 walls of the bathroom, for example. And finally, the main floor of the ADU, including the loft. Next, let's talk schedules. Schedules are a list of specific materials, finishes, and other items that are included in a building project. Schedules help to provide a detailed list of all the items that will be used in construction of the ADU. In this case, they're referring to what types of windows and doors will be used and where. In the diagram here down below, they've even drawn out how the skylights will be installed and with what materials. The next section, electrical. Now, electrical may sound really boring, but I personally think this is a lot of fun. This basically shows how everything is supposed to be wired in the ADU. We even have the plumbing supply diagrams here on the side and the water use fixture sizing. Now, there are a lot of details here, but these details are essential to make sure this ADU will be built successfully. Zooming in here to one of the electrical floor plans, notice these X's right here. Kind of looks like a treasure map, but this is actually where the lights are supposed to be placed and how they're going to be wired. So this is particularly useful for your contractor when the time comes for construction. Prepare yourselves for these next parts because they're quite heavy. So now we're going into one of those heavy sections, general notes and typical details. These last few pages are more for the builder than the planning and zoning department. Instructions and specifications of things like details like the wood frame and the concrete and the foundation are all noted here. I'm not going to go into detail on every section because I don't want to bore you, but your builder is going to be working off this page quite a lot, so it has to be detailed. The typical details are essentially the same thing. This holds diagrams of how the studs are installed, nail spacing, shear walls, and more. Basically, the nuts and bolts of the plan set, pun intended. The next section, foundation and roofing. These are just more notes for the builder to know how the foundation is supposed to be installed and the roof. The roof plan also includes information on the slope or the pitch of the roof, as well as any dormers or other features that may be present. It may also include details on the flashing and other roofing details, such as the type and size of gutters and downspouts. So if we reach the final section of this plan set, details, more details, always more details. Again, this section is essential for your builder. And that wraps up our ADU plan set by Mayberry Workshop. Now that was a lot to go over. Also, keep in mind that these plan sets are printed on 24 by 36-inch paper. So we're talking massive pages filled to the brim with a lot of architecture and construction jargon. That's why it's so important that you hire an experienced designer or architect like Mayberry Workshop. A well-drawn ADU plan set goes a long way when it comes to pulling permits for your ADU. You not only save yourself a big headache, but you also save an incredible amount of time. A poorly drafted plan set is going to have you go back through the permitting process again and again to take care of revisions. So be smart and hire an experienced ADU designer or architect in your area. At Maxable, we've matched hundreds of homeowners to experienced ADU professionals in their area, helping them build their dream team and get their ADU project done. Click the link below to access additional information about your property specifically and speak with an ADU agent about your project. And don't forget to ask about Maxable's Pro Concierge service, where we'll be your personal helping hand through every pre-construction milestone. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Maxable, and we'll see you for the next video. Thanks.